Welcome once again to the Impact with DBO. My name is Bayo. We continue the series by dwelling more on intellectual properties. That's a copyright in music. I'll be focusing today on exception to the role of copyright. What do I mean by exception? In situations or in circumstances where you are even the author of the work, you own the work, but you cannot lay claim to the copyright. You cannot enjoy the right to your work. There are few circumstances like that where even though you are the owner of the work, it's a product of your artistic creation, you cannot. One, it's what we call work for hire. In the case of work for hire, you may create the work, but you are not entitled to the right. For instance, if you are employed to work in a studio, your work basically from 8 to 5 is to do some artistic creation, and in that circumstance, your employer owns the right to that work. Yeah, that has always been the controversy. If you are employed in a theater, for instance, and your work is to write music, and you write music every day for the theater, you do not own the rights to that work. Even though it is a product of your artistic expression, you do not own. It is your employer that owns that. We've read stories of Handel being in service of a king, Beethoven and everything. They do not own the right to those works. It is the employer. But let me give a proviso. Unless it is otherwise stated in your contract, but generically, under work for hire, you do not own the right to that work unless it is expressly stated. Secondly, if the work is used for information and education purposes, you cannot claim right to that work. For instance, if I use excerpts of Davido, excerpts from any music to teach my students, to express, to show them illustration, the artist cannot come to claim right into that because I did not use it for commercial purposes and it is just for information and educational purposes. That's why it is still permissible that you can use it under that circumstances, unless there are conditions attached, but which is very rare. The third aspect is if your work is for public good, you call it public good works, you cannot lay claim to your right. The right has been submitted to the public. For instance, if you are engaged to compose an anthem which is for everybody, yes, if the moment it is accepted and maybe some basic conditions are fulfilled, an award may be given to you, you cannot come back and say it is your right that they must do this. You have submitted those rights. If an architect, for instance, comes up with a building that provides water for the whole community, you'll be paid off, then you cannot own right to that. The right belongs to people or the government that engage you. So, but there's another one where we call owner and a creator. You may be the creator of a work and not the owner of the right. Under that circumstances, you cannot own the right. Let me explain to you. If I create a work and I sell the work off, that means I'm the creator, but the buyer is now the owner of the rights. I've sold my rights. I cannot come back and claim rights unless it is stated in the condition of sales. If it sells maybe after 10 years, then it comes back, because even all these rights we talk about, it's not absolute. You don't even own right to your works in perpetuity. No, you own it for a specific period. So an author, an owner, a creator, an owner are also very different. And I can create my work and sell it to somebody and sell it to a buyer. It becomes the right owner. Immediately it is sold, unless the contract of sales says otherwise. So I cannot come back and say I own the right. In the situation of joint ownership, there are also specific rules that guide joint ownership that yes, you have, because by the time you are coming together to work as a group on a work, you have submitted your right to that group to a very reasonable extent. So under those circumstances, you cannot come back and say, this is my right. That's what they call exception to the rule, that even though the work in question is a product of your artistic expression, it's genuine, but under these circumstances, you may not be entitled to your right. One, it is under work for hire. That means you are paid to do the work. If it is for information or educational purposes, if it is public good for public use, and the situation of author and owner. So under those circumstances, you might not. So those are the basic things. Although it goes on, but like I said, continue to follow me on my YouTube page where we can interact more on these topics. Thank you very much.